Participants will be muted during the presentation and talks. You can use a chat function to communicate with members. We will inform when it's time for Q&A. Please use the raise function on Zoom and you will be invited to speak. Please ensure you're registered with your full name, not a nickname, below your picture. Please switch on your video throughout the session. I probably will turn it off because I'm going to have my dinner as well, so you can turn it off for a little while. We will take only the attendance if your video is switched on as long as possible. And that will be pretty much it. President Dinesh, I would like to hand it over to you.
Thank you.
President, you are on mute.
President Dinesh.
Thank you, John.
Good.
I am very pleased to call meeting to order. Honorary members, Bhagwan, Pak Mohan, past presidents, fellow Rotarians, distinguished guests, very good evening and warm welcome to 12th Rotary meeting of this year. To our guests, we thank you very much for attending our meeting, and we give you our collective welcome. Thank you very much and enjoy the evening with us. Very warm welcome to Ms. Lena Ng, our speaker this evening, and I thank you for accepting our invitation to speak. Ms. Lena will give us a perspective on women leadership. May I now call upon Rotarian Carlo to raise the toast to the Rotary Club of Lusaka Metro, club with our great institution, Rotary International. Rotarian Carlo, please.
Yes, my pleasure. Rotarians, I can't ask you to stand up and raise a toast, then our faces would be invisible. So please stay seated. And I'd like to invite you to give a toast to the Rotary Club of Manila, coupled with the toast to Rotary International.
Rotary Club of Metro Lusaka and Rotary International.
Rotary International.
Thank you, Rotarian Carlo. Now I think I'll have to share my screen. Right. Just wait a second. All right. May I now call upon Honorary Secretary to give the club announcement. Bridget, please.
Dinesh, can you stop share? I have one slide.
All right.
Cool. Yes, club announcements for this week. The Vocational Service Committee meeting takes place tomorrow evening on the 8th of October on Zoom at 7 o'clock, hosted by Dr. Chang. And then we have the World Mental Health Day on Saturday, the 10th of October. And the Rotary Club of Singapore, together with the Rotary Club of Zhongtown, is organizing a webinar addressing mental health in these challenging times. And I think it should be a very, very valuable session. And please do log in. It starts at 9:30. It's still busy on Saturday because we also organize with our own member James Lee a My Rotary training session, just half an hour now, starting at 11:30, ending at 12. Both details are in the chat, but we can of course also share the Zoom links again. I think that is it from me.
Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. Okay, I'll have to share again. Right. Dear members, with a heavy heart, I am sad to announce passing of our honorary member, Soichi Ishizaki, on 5th of October 2020 in Tokyo, Japan. He was 91 years old. Honorary member Soichi joined the club in March 1973 and continued distinguished service to our club for 41 years. Deepest condolences to Mrs. Kimi Ishizaki on her loss. May I now call upon PP Stan Low to read out eulogy of late Soichi Ishizaki on behalf of our club. PP Stan, please.
Thank you, President Dinesh. I first met honorary member Shoichi Ishizaki in 1984, almost 36 years ago. He had been my very good friend since then. We had happy times serving our club, and together we helped many people during the Kobe earthquake in 1995 and the Fukushima tsunami in 2011. I remember his generosity and contributions to various humanitarian projects in Singapore and other countries in Asia. Shoichi had many friends in our club. He served in several positions, including vice president. He was bestowed honorary membership, which is the highest membership class in our club. But he was most remembered as our energetic ambassador to our Japanese sister clubs like the Rotary Club of Wakayama East, Kobe East, and Osaka Senba. In 1982, he helped to organize the very first visit to Japan by our club, and there were 40 Rotarians and Ants. At that time, our honorary member and past president, Dr. Patrick Chin, remembers this visit like it was just yesterday. Shoichi-san worked very hard to make sure that everyone felt comfortable and the food was excellent. He even made sure that our vegetarian member, KS Mehta, was provided with vegetarian food for every meal. His other good friends like Adam Moledina, Philbert Chin, Saf Hussain, Bhagwan Melwani, if you remember Bhagwan, J.K. Ong, he's here, and Rewa Mepuri. They were all grateful to him for his kindness and hospitality. Since that first visit in 1982, Shoichi-san had managed every visit to our sister clubs. He continued to make sure that every visit was memorable. We thank him very much. Besides our time in the Rotary Club, Shoichi and I had many fun times together. We went out to try new restaurants. We also went out to golf. We knew he loved his golf. Do you know, he even bought homes in Hawaii and Perth, Australia, which are just next to golf courses. He worked hard in his business. He made good friends. He enjoyed life, and he contributed generously to help many poor people in this world. He was a true Rotarian. Shoichi-san, we miss you very much. We pray for you. May you rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you, P.P. Stan. May I now ask all fellow Rotarians to keep silence for 1 minute. Yes, please. All right. We have done the honorary secretary's announcement. I think it was supposed to be now, but okay, it has happened. Birthdays. Alex, Rotarian Alex Lega, 8th of October. Bob Chien, he's in Taipei, 11th of October. Dr. Eckhardwick, he's ambassador member. I think Bob Chien is also ambassador member. So Dr. Eckhard is in Germany. And our director, vocational service, Dr. Chan Sullivan, please join me in say in happy birthday and to all the birthday boys. Enjoy your birthday with full of happiness and joy. Wedding anniversaries, let us wish our best wishes to wedding anniversary celebrants this week. Rotarian Brigida and Javier, 10th of October. Dr. Suresh and Priti Mahatani, 12th of October. Oh, again, same day, Dr. Chan Suiluen and Patricia, 13th October. He had his birthday also on the same date. Wish you very happy wedding anniversary. So I have some few announcements, and the first one is it's my great pleasure to welcome Miss Linda Lim. He has joined our secretariat from 1st of October after retirement of IV. And it's my great pleasure now to introduce her to you. Linda graduated from Oxford Brookes University in Applied Accounting and currently pursuing ACCA. Linda has worked in government agencies, A*, and also in SMEs. I think I'll stop my share so I can see her. You can see her. Linda has worked in government agencies like A* and also in SMEs. Linda has years of experience in HR, administration, accounting systems. Linda will contribute immensely in our plan to streamline and digitalize our accounting system. She likes working for our club, though a different experience. But why? As she has been engaged in community work since 2017. She is a member of various emergency and response team under People's Association, and she does volunteer work with SG Assist and Giving Collective. So please join me to welcome Linda to Rotary. Linda, warm welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now I would like to thank Honorary Secretary Bridget and Honorary Treasurer Manish to conduct interviews together with me, and also appreciation also to the First Lady Rekha to sort out the list of almost 100 applicants into 4 shortlisted candidates. She also organized the interviews. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. I wish you a good career with Rotary Club of Singapore. Thank you.
I look forward to work with everybody. Anything, you all just can call up the office and look for me. I try my best to answer all your queries. Thank you.
Thank you. I think our second announcement I would like to make is very internal matter of our club. Probably the guest may not understand. So this is regarding the hosting fee. We started having club and service meeting on Zoom from March 2020. Contrary to what majority of our board members thought in July, at the start of the new Rotary year, COVID-19 continues to restrict our freedom of movement and prevents large gatherings. The board discussed and unanimously decided in their meeting on 5th of October, that is on last Monday, as follows. 1, not to charge hosting fee for any of the service committees until we resume physical committee meetings. All members who have settled their invoices with the hosting fee will get the credit note for the hosting fee paid. Members who will get cash refund if they ask for it, we would prefer you accept the credit notes, which will be adjusted in the next invoice. Next, given the current restricted travel scenario, it is highly unlikely that traditional sister club event before next installation is going to happen in 2021. As such, $120 fee for the event, which has been invoiced to ISC members, will be refunded to the members who have already paid. All others, please leave the charge and don't pay for Sisters Club event. All members will receive detailed email in next 2-3 days. So we did this after getting number of feedbacks, and I think this was the right decision. So that was my second. I also had the third, but this announcement has been done already by Bridget. And this was about the World Mental Health Day, which is observed on 10th of October. As she has already said, that we are collaborating with Rotary Club of Jurong Town, and we are working together. Our director, community service, Dr. Rena, has been working on this from the beginning. There will be 3 expert speakers who will cover subjects of mental health for all of us, for all the ages. Webinar is also aiming to raise funds for Mind Science Center under National University Health System. Your president has already contributed $1,000 personally on behalf of the club. Please join the webinar and support the beneficiary Mind Science Center, which has a vision building resilience across all ages with objective of education, service, and research. You can see the Zoom. details on various announcements and chat groups. Thank you very much. And now I'll move to, probably I may have to share the screen again. Okay, this is now the Kaifer time, and Kaifer is Know Your Fellow Rotarian. And today, our fellow Rotarian is Rotarian Pia Bruce. Rotarian
Thanks.
Pia Bruce, she joined the club in the year 2015. She has been playing a significant role in club activities. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Pia Bruce. Rotarian Pia, please.
Thanks for inviting me to introduce myself. And a very big thanks to both Sonali and Brigitte, who reminded me of the same about 1 hour ago. So you will hear me speak off the cuff here happily. I should probably start by saying that I'm Swedish. I grew up in Sweden. And an interesting story is that my mother actually met Rotarian Sinkia in the 1980s in Sweden and came back and told me then in high school how interesting that meeting had been. Well, soon afterwards, I moved on to the US, where among other things, I went to college, studied economics. I spent some time as an intern at the UN in New York, and I got a degree in government from Harvard and worked for a decent amount of years before coming to Singapore in 2004. And I've been here since my youngest son was born, which is a good 16 years by now, really enjoying it. I have 2 teenage sons. My eldest is doing his IB last International Baccalaureate year this year. So both of us are extremely sleep deprived. And I hope that when this year is over, I'll get to see much more of all of you again than I have in the last few months, and also in person when we can start meeting each other in person. I'm typically, you would find me in ISC, you'd find me in CSC, in public image this year as well, where my ambition is to look back at the impact of major projects and other activities over the years, catalog them, and together with Sonali, come up with communication strategies. So little by little, we'll be doing that over the year. I was also part of starting IDA back in 2006. I'm very happy that we continue to support IDA as well for work. These days, I'm actually balancing 3 things. I'm a senior advisor with the United Women Singapore. A friend convinced me, an old consulting colleague from 25 years ago, convinced me to help him start the Singapore office of a small fintech. And I'm also involved with a tiny angel investor in capacity building for women-led social enterprises in ASEAN. So I love everything I do, but sometimes perhaps I take on a bit too much. Again, delighted to speak to you here today, and always contact me. I'll be happy to tell you more, and when we meet as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rotarian Pia. Now I think our members will know you more. And you are already doing a great job, and keep on.
Thank you.
And I note that you would like to work in major projects. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay, now is the speaker time you're all waiting for. And our speaker today is Miss Lena Ng, and the topic, Women Leadership in Chaos. But before I call her, I would like to have Rotarian Louisa Lee to introduce our speaker this evening. Rotarian Louisa, please.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be introducing Lena. Well, women have notably been among the strongest and most decisive leaders in response to COVID-19. Our guest speaker for today, Ms. Lena Ng, is herself a strong and dynamic, internationally experienced leader. Lena is currently the Chief Investment Officer for Amata Corporation Public Company Limited, with more than 25 years of experience in overseeing more than $10 billion of assets. She's also the chairperson of Investment Committee for China's Belt and Road Initiative for the Greater Mekong sub-region. Actually, there's a lot more to her accomplishments, but I think we all can't wait to hear Lena talk about women leadership in chaos and hear her perspectives on women's leadership in our current times. So let's all welcome warmly Ms. Lena Ng.
Thank you, Lisa. Before I call our speaker, Ms. Lena Ng, I would like to ask all the members and guests, you may please write your questions on Zoom chat during or after the speech. Our Honorary Secretary, Bridget, will coordinate. And now, I'll give you our speaker this evening, Ms. Lena Ng. Please.
First of all, sawadika, and a very warm appreciation, to the President, Dinesh, and also Suresh, who has invited me for this speaking engagement. And especially just now, I think for Louisa, who have given a very good introduction of myself. And I suddenly feel that, I feel rather old, but after the investment in the ASEAN region for over 25 years, I do see a lot of changes in ASEAN with regards to women leadership. And I also see a healthy representation in the Rotary Club today. So without further ado, let me just share my presentation. I think the host disabled the participant screen sharing. Maybe, can you do something about it?
Yes.
You can try now. I think it should work.
It's done now.
Yes.
Okay, let me just tidy this up. I think a lot of people will be thinking, women leadership during chaotic situation in chaos. Are we expecting a superwoman or Wonder Woman that is in action? Let's take a look at the current scenario. So the current, if we look into the situation in the global environment, right, you do see that the world is in fact in chaos, very much chaotic situation now. So much is happening because of COVID, because of the geopolitical situation, China-US trade tension, and we also have protesters, in Hong Kong or in Thailand or in many countries. And I think last year is just the bushfire that is happening in Australia. So there are many things that is happening, but most important of all, I think just now you have mentioned about the World Mental Health Day, so what is impacting in terms of the mental development, and also how does it affect women leaders in particular, right? Because you have to juggle between work and family, and you also have to keep at least look presentable. I think one of the advantage that the male leader, or at least when I compare myself with some of my male colleagues, is they can just get up, and then go to meeting, but I still have to put on some makeup, So there is some differentiation, but I think we still carry it well. So if we look at the COVID-19 current situation, close to about 35 million in terms of total cases. But on the positive note, I think 26.6 million has recovered. And of course, we have casualties with close to about more than 1 million. So if you look at, I shouldn't be using the word top 5. Let me just change this to the pointer option. Okay, so if you look at really in terms of the ranking, right, top 5, US, India, Brazil, Russia, Colombia, and then we have China and Thailand. So if you look at the differences with regards to the cases and the number of cases versus the population, right, you would see that China and Thailand is doing quite well. In fact, with regards to the number of cases and how it has been handled. So currently I'm in Thailand, I'm based in Bangkok. So if you look at the dynamics of what is really going on, let's take a look at the next slide. If you look at the women leaders that is managing this COVID situation. So Singapore, I would say that, we still have a woman president, right? Mrs. Halima Jacob. And we also have the Taiwan that is cases is only 515, which is very, very low. Hong Kong, New Zealand, I think much talk about because of the Prime Minister Jacinda, Germany, Finland, and also Denmark. So these are the cases that we are looking at, which is very low. And most important of all is what kind of decision or what kind of leaders are in place. So if you look at Singapore, right, of course, many would argue to say, okay, from the president of Singapore, how actively she is being involved, and also who else is in the play. And definitely we have our Prime Minister and our Deputy Prime Minister, Heng Swee Keat, who actually roll out quite a significant in terms of the budget control. Because a lot of people, when we look at the COVID situation, one thing to bear in mind is beyond the cases, and it has also huge impact on economic job losses, and globally every country is suffering. So I have the honor to meet Mr. Heng Swee Keat at Davos. I think that was only last year. So interestingly, when we were in Davos, we were discussing about a lot of the issue, and one thing that struck me the most, right, in terms of DPM, Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat, is his ability to be more compassionate. I think this is one of the key characteristics that I feel for leaders, right? And in times of crisis or chaos, besides being calm, right? You need to be a lot more compassionate, especially in terms of the health crisis. So if you look at the stimulus package that has been drawn out by a lot of the countries, I think Japan would stand out in terms of 21.1%. And also the cases of the stimulus package in ASEAN, I think each of them has given different type of emphasis, which you can take a look. But all in all, I think, at least for Singapore, I think we have close to about 60 billion, maybe more is coming, right, to look into assisting the economy and how to help in terms of the job employment. So back to the situation of women leaders, right? When you look at Taiwan in particular, because I have personally met President Chai. That was 2 years ago when I visited Taipei. So at least through the conversation and through her discussion, right, you get the feel of her characteristic, her resolve, and how she sees the world political challenges, and how Taiwan has really emerged in terms of technological advances, besides the diplomatic relationship that they are facing with a lot of the countries. I would see that they have actually quite good policies being laid out, despite the challenges. So, and if you look at definitely also Hong Kong, right, Carrie Lam. So definitely there's controversy with regards to Hong Kong. and the Hong Kong protesters, especially students, right, may not like her, but as I think there's still some merit if you look at how she can work on the diplomatic relationship with China. So as for Jacinda, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, if you can see that from her way of managing the crisis situation, the shooting incident, right, in Christchurch of the Muslim community, you will see that she is both very empathetic and also a very strong woman who multitasks, right, because she's I think she's the youngest Prime Minister in New Zealand, and also the Prime Minister who have given birth, right, during her tenure as a Prime Minister. So we see from the multitasking personality and the ability for her to resolve conflict or crisis in a very authentic manner. So Angela Merkel is the same thing, right? When we look at her, she is a tough cookie, as many would say, and she doesn't take no for an answer. Sanna Marin, I think she's the youngest in the world with regards to being the Prime Minister. Mette Frederik, I think you would have seen how she rebut or worked with the President Donald Trump, with regards to the Greenland is not for sale. So if you look at overall, right, I would really like to throw a question, despite the topic of my discussion today is women leadership in chaos. I always remember Prime Minister Jacinda phrase, right? He said, please see me as a leader and not just a lady leader, right? There is a big difference because in the global political situation, there's only 5% of the political leaders that are women, right? So which means that gender equality is still a big, there's still a big gap, for us to really match, with regards to how we can improve the situation. So in the question of leadership during chaos, is it really women that do better, or is it, sorry about that, I saw a lot of men that is in the Rotary crowd of Singapore. Is it really the woman that's better, or the man has done not as a good job, So that is the question that is I have been questioning a lot of my friends, the counterparts. So I would say, right, at least for discussion's sake, I would say that if I were to review and to look at looking back at what has been done, I would like to trace actually more of characteristic of a leader, right? If the characteristic of a leader during the crisis, more empathetic, accept responsibilities, admit their mistake, right? Being honest about it, able to multitask, right? Because I think at least through genetic or whatever, we know that men are more focused, right? So, or less able to multitask. And also in terms of communication, maybe perhaps women are a better communicator, right? We love to talk, right? Sometimes we've been labeled, but communication is very important during crisis situation. And authenticity, right? Because at the end of the day, if we make a mistake, if we are who we are, I think that is the part that really makes the leader stand out. So successful traits of a leader during chaos. So if you look at, I think one of the Jacinda quote, she mentioned, that one of the criticism that she faced over the years is that she's not aggressive enough or assertive enough. But maybe because she's empathetic, people feel that she's weak by being empathetic. But actually, she totally will not agree with that, because she refused to believe that you cannot be both compassionate and strong, right? You can still be a very compassionate leader, and yet you are strong because you can put across your point very clearly, and also still, have that multitasking or ability to look at what will be the impact to others. And how about Angela Merkel? When we look at her, she said, you cannot fight the pandemic with lies and disinformation, right? Of course, some of the other countries, right? I think maybe we all know the country or the country leader, right? If you have to just keep covering up the facts with lies and withhold information, right? What is going to happen? Nobody will trust the system, the political leaders, and because of lack of trust, then there will be social unrest. And I think the citizen would not behave themselves, would not put on the mask because they don't even trust their president. So if you don't trust, how would you be able to contribute, right, in this manner so that the overall country, right, is safe from the COVID situation? That's why I think in New Zealand case, when they have actually gained quite good success with regards to keeping the cases low, Prime Minister Jacinda actually mentioned she thanked the 4 million of New Zealand, 4.5 million of New Zealand population, right, for chipping in and working together to keep everybody safe. I think this is very important with regards to trust. If you look at other traits, right? You look at Tsai Ing-wen, President Tsai Ing-wen, when she look at how, you know, in terms of being a multitasker and also in terms of communication, she has been communicating. They have been using a lot of social media to communicate to all the Taiwanese. And in fact, from the interview and some discussion that I had with the Taiwanese official, what we actually know is that they have very, very good source of intelligence, and they actually close the border pretty fast, you know, in terms of the pretty early, right, with regards to after hearing about the Wuhan case. They are very familiar with regards to handling the situation, and they are able to make that decision fast to close the border, right? One of the few countries that actually make the decision to close the border fast. But she also communicate and say that, you know, with that, how can Taiwan be able to assist the other country, right, to work together to prevent the spread. So, and we have also in terms of looking at the Denmark side, right, for the Prime Minister, she look at, you know, how in terms of early decision making, being decisive to close all the kindergarten, the schools, right, timely, right? Because in order for you to make critical decision, you have to accept the responsibilities or the position from anywhere, right? From opposition or political parties. And that's where we see all these female leaders, they stand out and they make great leaders during the chaos. So if you look at, I just give a very quick intro just now. I think we talk about, I think I heard somebody sharing about the late Rotarian member. I think he liked golf. This is exactly where I'm working in, which is our city, Amata city, right in Chonburi. And right in the middle, you will see this is a 17 hole. It's island green. So my balls are all in the lake, you know. So I'm not a very good golf player. So if you see within our city development, same thing, you know, because we are managing the city, although it's privately owned, listed on the Stock Exchange of Thailand, but we still, during the COVID situation, right, we still have to gather our resources, right? So what did our company, what did we do during the COVID-19? Definitely, we were quick to size up to have a COVID-19 emergency task force to communicate with the tenants and also our partners. We organized alternate work team and also in terms of working from home and also being quick enough to respond to the economic changes. We have OPEX reduction and also to manage the project. Definitely, because that is my role. We look into investment in nature. You also have to look into the cash flow. So with all this, right, there is always a saying, right? There is a woman behind every successful man. You know, I think this quote has been long used, right? But actually, there are many men behind a successful woman, right? So these are my team, right? They are young, they are energetic. I'm just using as an illustration for the earliest political leaders, because behind every successful political leaders, I'm sure there will be tons of advisor and expert that is helping them with regards to the COVID situation, economic situation, and many others. So I sum up, right, with looking at what exactly, you know, when you look at chaos, right, what kind of attributes, right, beside those that I have shared earlier of the successful leaders, what kind of attribute will keep us, right? I mean, people in generic or at least for us as business leader, what would be most practical and also effective? I would like to sum up this 4 Ps, right? I think first of all, we need to remain positive, right? Because we have to be positive because we are leaders. As leaders, if you're not positive, your followers or at least your staff will be looking at you and say, "Oh, the world, what is going to happen, right? Will there be retrenchment? Will there be pay cuts? Will there be this? Will there be that?" And this will not help any situation. And I think being positive is a very important trait with regards to during chaotic situation. You always will find that when one door closes, another door will open, right? So I believe that being positive, it is very important. Second, I think if you look at peace, if we as leaders, we maintain inner peace within us, I think then you can bring the peace to the workplace, you can bring peace to the society, you can bring peace to wherever you go, right? And third, if you look at the P, right, we'll be look at pragmatic, right? If whatever that you have and you're just theories, right? Just on paper, it worked and it's not pragmatic during this chaotic situation, I don't think your company could survive, right? So we have to be very pragmatic. And last but not least, people-oriented, because people are our assets. Our staff, our employees are our assets. If we can't keep a healthy team, right? I think there's no way that the business itself can grow into a healthy business, especially during crisis. And you will see that a lot of the companies being wiped out during this crisis. So I would like to highlight, because I understand the role of the Rotarians. I think you guys are doing fabulous job under the President Dinesh, who is full of vibes, and charisma. So I would say that what can we do, right? In fact, during crisis, we could do more. If we are sufficient, we can make a difference to others, right? Like I think the famous Nama mentioned, if you think that you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito in the room, right? So I like to track, I like to go to the forest, and mosquito has become my teacher, right? Because it's very, very irritating. Sometimes you are bitten by the mosquito. So these are my past activities in Singapore. I'm with the Singapore National Paralympic Council. I led them to the Asian Para Games. That's in Incheon, but that was a couple of years ago. And then one of the famous quote that I would also like to share, from a very famous Thai monk, right? Non-religious, but it's just to share anything that is troubling you, anything that is irritating you, that is your teacher. So right now, whatever challenges that you are facing, treat that as a test, as an examination, for your character building, for your growth development. Last but not least, for people who have been listening and not having the dinner, or having dinner but listening very attentively, I would like to leave you with something. First of all, during crisis, please love yourself first. You need to be healthy. You need to be strong. You need to be mentally capable, and embrace life challenges, and definitely never give up, because, all in all, we are here for a reason, and we need to contribute to the society that we are in, so always support others as much as possible. Last but not least, right, I managed to track up to the one of the province in Kanchanaburi, right, level 7 of the waterfall, era 1 waterfall, beautiful, it takes hard work to go up to level 7, but it just gave me some inspiration with regards to one quote, right, especially during this COVID situation. And I would like to share with all of you. I think people always complain, right? Oh, I have bad life, some have good life, they compare. I said, whether it is a good life, bad life, please stay alive. These are very important that I would like to share. And with this, I end my presentation. And my staff, Mr. Tirati, right? He's kindly helped me to table all this, so you can see very beautiful slides with my presentation. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
President, you're muted. I don't know. So
Thank you.
I
Thank
think
you,
I
Ms.
leave
Lena,
him
for your-
speechless. Huh?
I was so engrossed in your speech, forgot to unmute. Thank you, Ms. Lena, for this wonderful speech. And I like your last slide, Lena. And what you have said about 4 Ps, this is applicable to men and women, both. And I think I read a book some years ago, Thriving in Chaos. I think today I know the women thrive in chaos. And you analyzed very well all the women prime ministers. And I think the women are the natural leaders. I have very personal experience. Whenever I'm in chaotic condition, I go to my wife, Rekha, because she thinks in a different way. And sometimes I don't like what she says because it hurts me sometimes, but she is always right because she shows me a new angle. I will not, this is not my role here to analyze your speech. There will be questions and answer. So I'll open it for questions and answer. And our Honorary Secretary, Bridget, will coordinate. Once again, thank you very much, Ms. Lena. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah, thank you, President Dinesh. Also from me, Lena, wonderful talk. Thank you so much. And we do have one question in the chat. Can I ask Louisa just to ask the question yourself?
Hi, Lena. Thank you so much for your sharing. It was really good to hear from a woman leader. I would just like to ask, what are some of the examples of the positivity that has arisen out of the current chaos for you? Because I think, yeah, I totally agree with you that we do need more stories of positivity in this times, and yeah.
I think one of the, because this is actually my second stint in Thailand. 17 years ago, I was based in the Singapore Embassy as the commercial attaché in Bangkok. So I got to know some of the Thai family groups and also very good friends, you know. And after I've left the government, that was close to about maybe 11 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago, I've decided to pursue my career in the private sector. So I did some of the M&A work, investment work, and soon enough, I was also offered as the chief investment officer for this Thai conglomerate, my first time. So when it comes to really understanding the overall enlightenment, right, especially in terms of positivity, I would say that especially in a country like Thailand, we can learn a lot from the Thai culture. I think I just want to raise up, I mean, I can't have a raise of hand, but I'm sure many of you would have been to Bangkok, right? Because it is very just 2 hours, 2 hours, 25 minutes away. So when you go to the streets of Bangkok and when you see the Thais, right, having noodles, do you find that sometimes when they have the sauce, the chili sauce, you know, the lime sauce, you know, but have you seen another thing which is white and is the sugar? So are you strange, right? Do you feel strange that why would people add on a savory bowl of noodles, right? Why would you add sugar, right? So I say that, what is happening? But the interesting aspect of it is because of the challenges that many of the Thais, because of the developing nature of the country that is facing in terms of what they are looking at, they always look at how, you know, to make their life better. So if they want to feel sweeter for the day, right, they will add some sugar on their noodles, and they like sweets as well. So the key is about how can you stay or remain positive, you know, amidst challenges. So this is where I find a lot of strength, you know, if you are able to keep yourself focused on within, right? I mean, staying within yourself, how can you be positive? And once you are positive, I would say that there are a lot of changes. In fact, during the 3 months, right, of 2 or 3 months working from home, I realized the peace that had drawn in when we just focus on the negativity, right? Let's say we say that, okay, you are stuck in your home, you cannot go out, you know, you cannot travel. And then you will realize that your negativity aspect of your mind will grow. But if you look at it from another perspective to say that actually right now, wouldn't you have more time, for yourself, right? To find that peace and also to plan, right, in the future, what exactly would be more fulfilling for your life? Because many of us, I think especially Singaporeans, right, we are very, very much pampered by the Singapore government, I'm sure the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, when he hear me speak like that, right, I think they will be very happy, right? Because when we are very much sheltered, by a government that actually think ahead, maybe 20 years, 30 years, you will be actually less inclined, to adapt. But as compared, right, if you look at the situation in the developing country, people are actually very adaptable or flexible. So I have been here, I think at least in the based in Thailand for close to about 10 years. So I've seen that people would have emerged from challenging situation. So that actually helps me, or at least many of us, to remain positive, to see beyond the challenges and difficulties. I hope I answer your question, Louisa.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wait, there's another one from Suhaimi.
Hi, Bridget.
Yep.
My internet's pretty unstable, but so it's just a quick question for Lena. Can you tell us a little about what's novel or different in the industrial parks or smart cities that have developed by Thailand, especially if there are any concepts or technologies that we can apply in Singapore?
Okay, I think when you look at the smart city description, right, people are looking at different emphasis. What is actually a smart city? A smart city at the core of itself would have to care for the environment. We also have to focus on the energy consumption, right, and towards more of the renewable energy. And you also focus on people, right, which is how do you create a bunch of smart people, right? So as various aspects of a smart city, you would have the key performance indicators revolving around environment, energy, mobility, people, and those indicators that you place a much higher emphasis than the traditional industrial estate, right? Because to transform from an industrial city to a smart city, it requires a lot of coordination, and also in terms of the policy by the management. So I do see from the angle, let's say from Singapore, if there are technologies that you can look into with regards to even for 5G implementation that we are currently working with the largest telecom operator in Thailand, AIS. I think 5G technologies will be something that will push us ahead of the curve, right? And also in terms of maybe in line with the situation of COVID, how would you have a smart healthcare, right? So when crisis happen, how do you manage, right? Crisis management solution. So I believe that there are some good usage of technology that is put to the test now when we are in fact having a crisis, especially in times of COVID, and there's uncertainty around us.
Thank you very much, Lena. I've got another question which I've typed in case I break up. Can you tell us a bit, so this is a bit about politics, right? Can you tell us a bit about basically Thailand's political stance, the economic repercussions in the context of the US-China trade war? I'm guessing that Thailand is probably more aligned towards China, in terms of betting on the growth of China rather than sitting on the fence like Singapore. Do you have any insight, knowledge on that?
I think your voice break out, so I don't know whether I've captured your question fully. I think if you ask about the political stand that Thailand is taking with regards to China, right? Is it only on China or what else?
No,
yes, in the context of the US-China trade war specifically. So are you more aligned, or is Thailand more aligned to China, or are they like Singapore where we don't want to commit?
I'm a very good friend with both the Americans and also with the Chinese friends, So I think as a former diplomat, I would have to answer your question in a very diplomatic manner, because at the end of the day, right, if you look at the China-US trade tension, nobody will win, you know, and it's just creating a lot of, actually creating both opportunities and also challenges. In our situation, in fact, we see more opportunities. I would say that you will see a lot of the manufacturers in China that is thinking of shifting out. So actually that means more business for me. I'm actually quite happy about it, you know, but at the, if I'm wearing a compassionate hat, right, I would say that we really look forward to both China and US, you know, having a good resolution with regards to what can be done. Because ultimately, if you have two, just imagine, right? I mean, if I would ask you, you know, close your eyes for 1 second and imagine if you are in a big ballroom and, you know, and two big elephants were dancing around the ballroom, what is going to happen, right? So the countries in ASEAN, we are stuck in between. You wouldn't be taking a stand whereby, okay, I'm siding with Americans or I'm siding with China. No, I would say that at least on a political view, right, nobody should take a stand. But I think in terms of business, underlying business, we should still adopt an international approach to really welcome investors from many countries.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Vivek, please.
Bridget, can we ask Lena to close the presentation, the last slide?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Lena. This is Vivek here. Thank you for a wonderful speech. I just wanted to ask you, how do you see the future of the Thailand industrial sector, given all the challenges of labor, imported labor coming in, high baht, currency risk, and so on. So how do you see the future of industrial Thailand? Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Vivek, that's a very good question. In fact, that's my bread and butter. So if you look at the Thailand government initiative for the last 2 years, right, they have been pushing towards Thailand 4.0, at least the policy towards the Thailand Eastern Economic Corridor. So for people who are familiar with Thailand, right, in fact, close to about 60 to 80% of the manufacturing, a lot of the manufacturing activities are within the Eastern Economic Corridor. So what Thailand is trying to do now is something that Singapore has done before, because we all know manufacturers are in fact very pragmatic, right? So they will move towards the lower cost of manufacturing. That is done deal. That is given. So if the country are not able to transform, right, or recreate with regards to research and development, and enticing the investors to continue to focus with regards to higher level of manufacturing or move up the value chain, then they will not be able to actually fight the wave. But I think at least I would say for the Thai government, with regards to the Board of Investment, the Eastern Economic Corridor, which is the EEC, they have been actually pushing out quite a fair bit of initiative to move up the value chain. So they have identified in terms of they said the S-curve, right, with regards to the sectors. Let's say they have traditionally been automotive hub, right? A lot of manufacturing, the first tier automotive players, second tier automotive players. But right now, if you were to move up in terms of the EV, right, which is the electric vehicle, people are also giving incentive to the next gen automotive. So there are next gen automotive, robotics, Internet of Things, and also different aspects that would be wellness, right? Medical tourism. So this is something that the government is pushing or actually encouraging more investors. So my long answer to your short question is the industrial estate would have to transform, just like what we are doing, right? Moving up the value chain to encourage more research and development, and also in terms of transforming to perhaps more of the smart city for urbanization to take place. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, thank you very much. I used to run a business. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we'll have only the last question now. Right, Bridget?
Can I, President? Can I ask one question?
Please.
Because coming back to the initial sort of theme of women leadership and chaos, I would be interested if you see a difference if we speak about a political leader or a corporate leader, because political leaders depend on the electorate, and decisions might be quite sort of indeed political in the real sense of the word. So I would like to hear your opinion.
Sorry, I think Bridget, I lost you with the transmission. Can you just repeat again? I'm so sorry. Yeah.
My question was, do you see a difference in the challenges for political leaders? I mean, you basically showed us the examples from Merkel to Jacinda Ardern, compared to the challenges in the corporate world. Because political leaders are depending on the electorate and all sorts of other things. Because when we see, if I may say so, I mean, US, India, Russia, they all kind of led by egocentric elder men, right? So I think, and that is where the real difference actually.
Yeah, I think thanks for the very, very good question. In fact, when you look at the level, which is the responsibility and the authority being given, right, in these two aspects of differences in the political arena, we do see that for those that is through perhaps a more democratic area, that they have to actually enhance in terms of communication, right? And if you look at the other side of the coin, right, you will look at, you have to actually draw more consensus. So if in times of chaos or crisis, right, you will actually be spending a longer time, right? Because getting the consensus is not easy. So it's not easy to just make a decision and say, okay, I override all of you, I'm going to take that responsibility, right? Because you will be worried about the votes. I think in some situation or in some country, as we know, why would they top the chart of COVID is because they are worried about their votes, right? And say that if I were to make this decision to close the border, all my supporters in the economy, in the business side, what would they do to me? So they would have, maybe because of that, right, they would have cost them, it would have cost them longer time, right, to make that decision, close the border, right? Because closing is easy. Reopening, how do you address to the businesses? And that is why I think one of the key aspects that why women leaders are better, because we are more compassionate, right, in a way to say that the priority, how do you prioritize? The health of the citizen, the commitment, right, of the leader is to protect everybody. I think that maternal instinct will slightly come out, right? And kudos to the Thai government, right? In fact, the leader is Prime Minister Prayut, right? He also made a very, very critical decision to say, I close the border. Till now, it has not been open, right? Despite Thailand, I think we depend so much on tourism, we depend so much on business. I have to give them this vote of confidence that, I decided to stay here during the COVID, because I just feel that it's not nice, to leave my team alone and just rush back to Singapore. But I think the contribution come in, or at least the well-being come in, that actually Thailand managed to maintain a pretty well good cases of the COVID and keep it under control.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll call upon past President Palita to give word of thanks. PP Palita, please.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've unmuted myself. Good evening, Mr. President and the distinguished guests, and of course our distinguished speaker. This is certainly a wonderful evening tonight to have you as our speaker. You certainly were able to prove the ability of women to lead during chaos. I think particularly you have spoken about country leaders, the 5 basic abilities of the women leaders, political leaders, as they are more empathetic, they are more compassionate, more able to accept responsibility, multitask. I think that's known to everybody, versus the male focusing, communication, because we love to talk, authenticity, which makes leaders successful. And the 5th one you added was decisiveness, which is very important as well. Yeah. So, and then it was nice to note as well, to emphasize that for every successful woman, there are always many men behind. So let's not just accept the fact that it's only the woman always behind the man. Yeah. So the men are also very important to support the woman. Yeah. And for companies in general, you pointed out 4 peace required during the chaos, such as being positive, being peaceful, being pragmatic, being people-oriented. And this should apply not just to the women, but also to the men. That all these qualities are needed for companies to be successful. And the last slide you had is also something that stuck to me, that during these challenging times, we have to stay alive. That's most important. So you really, it's an honor to hear from a very knowledgeable, experienced, even if despite the youth, an executive, to hear from you. And you're really a speaker extraordinaire, Lena, and we're very, very thankful to have you. Can we all unmute ourselves and give Lena
Yes,
a big
please.
round of applause? Thank
Yes,
you
please
so much.
unmute.
Thank you.
Thank you, PP Palita, and thank you, our speaker Lena, once again.
President, sorry to interrupt. Can we just ask our director Varun for a very quick announcement? He forgot to mention that at the beginning. Just a very quick announcement from Varun. Can we do this before we close?
Yes, please, Varun.
Yeah, yes. So can I go ahead? It's regarding the SEEC as you're aware. So I'll just quickly share this just one page, and see if that becomes visible. Okay, so this is something I announced in the previous ISC meeting. There's a World Sight Day, so which is tomorrow, and in conjunction with the World Sight Day, there is an event that's happening, which is SEEC 2020. This is a joint project between District 3300 and District 3310 since 2012. And I'm really proud to announce that this year we are also one of the sponsors, along with one of our sister clubs in the district, which is KLD Raja, and we sponsored them with 5,000 Malaysian ringgit, and it's single-handedly done by PP Dr. Lipke. So thank you so much, PP Dr. Lipke, for your contribution. We also have so this is the brochure, and just to zoom it in, we also have our Dr. Sektien Ho, who's going to be talking about 21st century glaucoma care and possibility for all, and it is tomorrow. I will just shortly share a link on the chat group, so please register, and looking forward to see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Varun. All right, the speaker next week will be Mr. David Xiao, and the topic is thought leadership. How the whole brain works. So it will be another interesting speech next week. Before I close the meeting, I would like to welcome and thank all the spouses who have joined today's speech. I think there are many. I can see Yvonne right on the screen. Hello. And I think I'll give a collective thanks to all of them for joining for our meeting today. Another information is about our senior Rotarian, Uttam Kripalani. He's in hospital today, and he will have a minor surgery, and will be back. We expect him to back to home tomorrow evening. So that was it. I think we had a wonderful speech and good meeting. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I think I'll now close the meeting, and the fellowship will continue for another 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting is closed.
Thank you.
Yeah.